Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that's sort of a bridge between what I do with mental health and also talking about creativity, because I really do think this topic helps with both cases. And that's talking about dreams and doing a little bit of dream work. Because one, as a counselor, knowing what my clients are dreaming about kind of gives me an idea of what's going on in their head sometimes. And also, I find that me personally keeping track of my dreams becomes a source of creative output in a way that I can't really just tap into at a conscious level. And so I find it useful to be on both ends of the spectrum. And so when we first start talking about like what are dreams, there are three theories that I'm familiar with dreams. Two of which are based on science. One of which is just me. So feel free to ignore that one. But so the first notion about dreams are that they are just brain farts. That while you're asleep, your brain is more active than while you're awake. And that's kind of surprising to some people. When you go to sleep, that's not about your brain needs rest. Sleeping is about your brain has something important to do, and it can't be bothered this whole walking around in the world kind of thing. Exactly what that important thing is, we're not 100% sure. We're getting a little bit into the realm of what sleep is. But one theory is that while we're asleep and while we're dreaming, our brain is able to detoxify. That throughout the day, your brain is working, it's constantly going, it's constantly thinking, and it's working in a very particular kind of way, a very sort of alert, problem solving, focused, very aware of their external environment in a very sort of real kind of way, sort of a very material sort of way. And the theory is that that's taxing on the brain, and the brain needs rest, or well, it doesn't need rest. It needs to detoxify. It's sort of like if you work out all day, your muscles are going to wear out. You need to eventually just relax and let your muscles recover. And in a way, that seems to be what sleep is. And so while you're sleeping and while your brain is detoxifying, your neurons are just firing, but they're firing randomly. In this first sort of view of what dreams are, this is all random. There's no real pattern to it. There's no real meaning behind it. A neuron fires of an image of a goat. Another neuron fires. It's like smells like an orange. Another neuron, it's like the voice of your mother reminds you of that. And your other part of your brain is just trying to make sense of all that, and it just kind of sticks it together. Okay, an orange goat that talks like mom. Whatever. Move on. I gotta sort all this other stuff out. And there's really no purpose to this. It's just brain farts. It's just your brain is just producing things, and other parts of your brain are just trying to make sense of it, and that's all it is. And there's some evidence to suggest that this is probably true. And when I listen to my clients' dreams, there are usually elements that just seem like brain farts. This is probably not very scientific, but it's one of those. Sometimes there's just noise in a dream that I don't think really means anything, and you can probably shove meaning into it, maybe, but I don't think that's always the best case. The second version, or second view of dreams are that they are a way for your brain to work on problems, to learn things, to run simulations, to basically work on stuff in a way that it can't do it in, the real world out in here and that sort of thing. But it does it at a very subconscious level, very deeper level. And the subconscious doesn't really speak in a language like you and I speak in. Well, subconscious speaks in symbols and metaphors and imagery and archetypes. And this is why a lot of times music and stories and various parts of art really hit us at a really deep level, is because they are bypassing our sort of conscious mind and getting deeper down into our subconscious mind, particularly music. That's why music can be very moving. It can also be very distracting if you're trying to write. And this theory is that your dreams are ways of kind of getting an insight in what your brain is working on a deeper level. And this is how I use it with a lot of my clients, is I'm trying to get an idea of what's their brain working on at a deeper level? And I've got a few examples. One I read of in a study talking about this very sort of idea was that they had a bunch of college students. And they've already been a part of like a long term sleep study, so they'd already been like taught like good sleep hygiene and that sort of thing. They were keeping dream journals. I'll talk a little more about that later. And so one day they came in and they had everybody play this video game. And this is like a skiing game. It's the kind you used to see in arcades. You like stand on little poles or something. And you actually lean back and forth, and it moves this guy on the screen as he goes through all the little slalom course on the skiing. And so there's a very physical aspect to it, leaning back and forth as opposed to just running a little video controller just with your fingers. And they were all given time to practice and learn the thing, and they were all told that tomorrow you're going to come in and you're going to play this game again, and whoever gets the highest score wins like $200 or something like that. But keep track of your dreams like you have been. And what they found was that a significant portion of the participants, their dreams involved playing the game, skiing, running really fast, flying, those sort of things. And almost everybody performed much better after just one go. Performed much better the next day than they did, with hours of practice, with an hour of practice or so the day before. The theory is that the brain was learned that this was important. Didn't know why, but you spent a good part of the day learning this new skill. You were told the next day you're gonna, have a competition. You might win some money, and so the brain was practicing, running the simulation, playing the game, skiing, flying, running really fast, just getting used to what it's like to do this sort of thing. And that's why that symbolism is kind of important. If they all dreamed about just playing the video game, then that would imply maybe a little more like a conscious sort of thought, but a lot more like dreaming like flying through clouds or running through snow or something else like that, which isn't what they were really doing. But I think what it is at a certain level, playing a video game doesn't make sense to the brain, so it goes with what it knows. Flying makes more sense, I guess, than playing a video game. I've had many clients I had one client who, his big view was that he was afraid that his girlfriend was cheating on him. And it was this big fear. And she wasn't really giving him any indication that she was cheating on him. But that was still just a big fear that he had. And every time she went out with friends and stuff, he would sit at home and he was just, terrified and almost certain she'd find some other guy or something else like that. And we talked through it. I never could really find a reason why or anything else. And then he said he had a session with him, and he said, since my previous session, I've had this recurring dream where I was sitting in my couch in my living room, and my girlfriend was on the same couch next to me, and she was having sex with another guy. And they didn't pay attention to me. They didn't say anything. They were just there having sex with another guy, and I'm just sitting there. And I think what happened was his brain ran with a simulation of like, okay, let's see what happens. What would happen if she did cheat on us? What would happen if she cheated on us in a way that was like, you just undeniable and just kind of cruel? She didn't even care. She's just, going out with somebody else right in front of us. What happens? Nothing. In the dream, nothing bad happened. He didn't fall apart. He didn't have a massive panic attack or anything else. He just kind of woke up. And the reason why I think this is what was going on was because almost immediately his fear was gone. She went out with other people and he just didn't care. He went out with friends and stuff and he just didn't care. He wasn't obsessed and worried about his girlfriend leaving him. And so I think that's part of what it was, is his brain ran the simulation and realized, if the worst case happens and nothing bad happens, then I don't need to be afraid of this anymore. And so that's one of the reasons why I think paying attention to dreams is so important. So the third reason that third explanation that I have for dreams, and this is just me, so feel free to skip ahead if you want. Is that this is more of a spiritual thing. While we are asleep, our consciousness is untethered from our bodies, from this universe, from this reality, and it is able to go out into other places. It's able to go out to other realms, other alternate timelines, deal with alien entities. A very sort of psychedelic approach, and I'm eventually going to make a video on psychedelics and talk about all that too. Or it's a way for other entities to come to us, to have a talk with your dead grandmother, or God, or Jesus, or maybe even Satan if you want to. I think sleep changes our consciousness to something that is more open to other possibilities, other consciousnesses, and maybe that's the reason why sleep is so important to our brains. But I like doing that because a lot of my dreams, and especially more recently, I've noticed in the past few weeks, I don't know why, a lot of my dreams feel like that. Like if I was to describe them to you, they actually kind of mundane. They don't seem, when I describe them to you, when I write in my book, it doesn't really feel all that interesting. But I know, from the dream that I had, that it was very strange at the time. The city that I was in didn't look normal. The people that I considered good friends didn't seem like someone I ever knew before. My parents weren't really my parents, for instance. I in some dreams I'm married, or I have kids, or I'm an old man, or whatever. And so I think that's an aspect of it too. I also think, and this is where I get into a little bit of a Jungian psychology, I do think this is also where our various archetypes can talk to each other. I know lots and lots of dreams that I've had, and some of my clients have, feel like the discussion between the anima and the animus. That's the masculine and the feminine aspects of our personality. And so, yeah. So I think, so what I recommend is really keeping a dream journal. And what you got to do is get like a journal, a spiral notebook, whatever, it doesn't matter, and keep it like right next to your bed, especially when you first start off. And as you're waking up, you just sort of roll over, you grab the journal, and you pick up and you start writing down whatever you remember, whatever comes through. It may not be much. When you look at some of my earliest entries in my dream journal, it might have been just like a couple of lines, and probably not even full sentences. It's like something about my dad, and I think I was in school, and someone was angry. I don't really remember. You fast forward like about a week of just keeping track of my dreams, and I'm writing pages. I can't write fast enough. I'm forgetting my dream faster than I can write it down, because I think what happens is you start to train your conscious mind into knowing that your dreams are something important, there's something relevant, and there's something worth remembering. And so once you train your mind to do that, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And so it just starts spitting it all out to you. And yeah, you can kind of write all it down. Here's the tricky part. A little bit about dream analysis. Most people do dream analysis wrong. Most people do okay, I had a dream about my teeth falling out. What does that mean? They go online, they look up, and there's usually some, dream dictionary that tells them what everything means, and they start to try and piece it together. That's one of the areas where I do differ from Jungian psychology, is that the notion that dreams are just this plug and play kind of thing, I think really kind of does a disservice to the complexity of dreams and the analysis of the dreams. I think you really need to know a person. So like I feel like I can do a pretty good dream analysis with some of my clients because I've seen them for a while and I know what they're working on, and so it's a little easier for me to kind of notice themes and stuff like that. Just some random stranger off the street, I can probably give an idea of what's going on, but exactly I don't know because I don't really know them. I don't know what they're working on. I don't know what their brain might be playing with. And I think also the problem with dream analysis is sometimes you're too much in it that you can't see your way out. Like some of my clients will describe their dreams, and I'm thinking that's just really obvious. What's the challenge here? And I have no idea what this means. It's totally weird. And to me, it's just like, oh, this is what it is, and it just kind of clears everything up for him. And I don't think it's because I'm like some genius. I think it's just that I'm on the outside looking in. I don't have an emotional investment in the dream or its interpretation. Um, no aspect of my psychology is trying to block me from learning something. And that's another Jungian aspects and that sort of thing. And so it's a little easier for me to kind of point these things out. So if you are keeping a dream journal, which I really recommend that you do, and you want to get into some dream analysis, you might want to find someone like a friend or counselor if you have one, and kind of talk about this stuff with them because they may give you some insights. You can do your own dream analysis. What I would recommend is writing it down without judgment. In the moment as you're having it, just write it down. Write down as many of the details as you can, even if they don't make sense, even if they don't even feel like they fit. Just write them all down, and then maybe like a few days later, maybe a week later, come back and read it again. Because then at that point, you're kind of a different person. But you're maybe a little more emotionally distant from the dream. And then if your brain was actually working on something in the dream, you might have noticed that change in the few days or weeks past. It's like my client with his dream about the girlfriend. It's not that he woke up and was instantly cured. It was he just noticed, later that week when she went out, it didn't seem to bother him that much. It bothered him a little bit, but not as much. He managed it, and and these sort of things. And so you might also, if you're paying attention, notice some changes with you, your attitudes towards things, your emotions, whatever. And that can give you an idea of like, oh, that's probably what that dream was getting at. That might be what it means too. If nothing else, I find the dream journal just to be a very interesting place to get source material for writing. In my first novel, Saga of the Scout, link below, blatant promotion right there, but you can find a link to it below. But the first two chapters are basically just a dream that I had. It was a very strange dream. It was very vivid. And I wrote it down when I woke up. And then some weeks or months later, I decided, I kind of want to just explore that some more. So I just wrote it out, fleshed it out as the opening to Saga of the Scout, and then just kind of went from there with it. Everything else after that, first two chapters, well, it was just me writing. But the dream was the seed for what could become, what came next. And now I'm working on the sequel of Saga the Scout, Saga the Settler. I hope to have it out in hopefully January, if not certainly February of 2021. And that will become this series I'm all work on, all from one dream that I wrote down. Then I have, like in my dream journal, I have some other things that are ideas that I want to either put in this series or maybe even be the seeds for other series. So if nothing else, if you're finding that you are stuck for ideas, which for most writers, once you start writing, you have too many ideas. But if you ever do find yourself stuck with ideas, pay attention to your dreams. This is a reason to have a dream journal. And you find yourself having some writer's block. You're working on a project, but you don't know where to go next. Kind of pay attention to what your dreams are. At some level, your brain is working on this problem too. And your subconscious is far, far, far more creative than your conscious mind. In fact, some people, like Dean Wesley Smith, argues that your conscious mind, what he calls your critical mind, can't be creative at all. It has to be the subconscious. I tend to agree, for the most part. But anyway, if you have any other questions, comments, whatever about dreams, post them in the comments below. I'll answer them, or they may turn into a future video. But anyway, you will find a link to all my other books down below. Also some of my social media. If you like this video, please subscribe. Please like it. YouTube likes it. YouTube likes it when you like things. See. So anyway, I will talk to you next time. Bye.